Yo, what's up? Welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about how underrated MK11 really is. This game, when it first dropped, I remember the hate that it got, and because the game that it came out after was MKX, and MKX was a very, very fast-paced game. This is a very slow-paced game. It's definitely slower in pace, but I don't think this game deserves the hate that it got. I think one of the great things that this game had was a really good story mode. I know NetherRealm don't really miss with their story modes until like recently, but this shit slapped. Okay, there was so much shit going on in this story, it was insane. You know, people like to say that Kronika is not a good villain. I think that is insane. Like, the hate for this game is insane. Kronika was literally the biggest threat in any of these games. And the whole hourglass thing, like, that was a really cool thing that they decided to add to the lore, you know. And then after, you know, we get done with the story mode, we got Aftermath, the DLC for Mortal Kombat 11. And this story mode is peak. It's peak, bro. It is peak. Okay. Like, you got Shang Tsung coming back. And I know technically Shang Tsung's been the villain for like a lot of these games, but they decided to give him the hourglass treatment, him versus Liu Kang, the good and the bad ending. And I think that is really slept on, because MK1, it doesn't have that. MKX didn't have that. They did not have the good and bad endings. I think that's one thing that MK11 definitely has over other games. Now, don't get me wrong, my favorite story mode for any of these games is MK9. But MK11, it had a really good story mode, and that only adds to it being a great game. I would say the second thing that makes this game so good is the roster. The roster was there was so much people on this roster that you could literally, like, I wanted to play like almost everybody when this shit dropped, you know. There's people like Scarlet that dropped, that didn't drop in a game for a while. There's people like the Joker, Spawn, Rambo. I mean, that's like 5 people right there that just sound so interesting to play, you know. The Terminator. This game's roster was insane. And not to mention, we got 2 new characters. We got Cetrion and we got the Collector, which is something the newer games don't have. They don't have newer characters, you know. We just got the same characters. I don't know how people feel about that. I like new characters, and I like when they do things with the new characters. I don't like to see new characters and then they just not put them in, you know, games after they drop. But we did get new characters with this game. Cetrion was pretty cool. I don't know about Collector, but Collector was there. I'd say another thing that they did right is the crypt. This is probably the biggest W that MK11 took. I'm not gonna lie. MK11's crypt is the best crypt, and I stand on that. There was so much stuff in the crypt, and the crypt kind of had like its own lore. The crypt guy was cool, collecting all the weapons and stuff from other people from Mortal Kombat. I think that was sick. Seeing people like Ermac and Reptile that weren't in the game in the crypt was really cool. And not to mention, there was so much shit you could do in the crypt. Like, MK11 has the most content out of any of these games. Like the shrines where you put like the Mortal Kombat characters' heads on them and stuff. That shit would take so long to complete, you know. And MK1 doesn't have anything like it, really. So I wouldn't even say MKX or 9 had anything like it either. It's one of those things where it was a very grindy game, and I could see some people not liking that, but I love that. I think that should be in every single one of these games. So yeah, MK11 has the best offline content you can get from any of these games. And also the skins. The skins were really sick. Like, Jackie had like a Spawn skin. Cassie had like a Harley Quinn skin. There was just a lot of really cool like skins and shit. And those were like low-key premiere skins, you know. We got the Batman Who Laughs for noob. Like, I'm also gonna say MK11 had the best skins out of any of these games. I think the fourth thing, and this might be a hot take, but MK11 had the best fatalities. The fatalities in MK11 were sick. They always had like this little slow-mo thing go on with them, and they were a lot of the time very creative with the shit they done. And these fatalities would last for a little bit. It wasn't like a 5-second thing, you know. So I do think MK11 had the best fatalities out of any game. For me, MK11 stages also were another thing that they did right. Like, I'm not too huge on stage interactables, you know, but the stages themselves, they were sick. They were sick. You had that. I remember there was like an arcade one. That one was really cool. They had Deadpool in there, which was really cool. The maps were bangers. They did the maps right. Honestly, I do think these are the best stages we ever got from any Mortal Kombat game. I think they even did like a specific like Evo one for the arcade map. Just just shit like that makes it so cool. And this is the main thing people hate on, but the gameplay. The gameplay to me, I'm gonna be honest, I'd rather have a slow paced game. I don't want to be throwing out all these crazy things and shit, and then, you know, I think a slower paced game's way better. Gives time for like the game to actually play out instead of just doing a bunch of crazy shit. And don't get me wrong, I love fast paced games. Tekken, fun. It's very fun. But I do not think we need a fast paced Mortal Kombat. You know, Street Fighter isn't fast paced. Street Fighter 6 is not a very fast-paced game at all, and I think they kind of found like the middle point where it should be for this game, where it's not too slow, but it's not like extremely fast to the point where, you know, it's annoying or anything. This game is very overhated, and it's honestly kind of underrated. I know it's like the most sold Mortal Kombat, but out of all the Mortal Kombats, you hear MKX talked about the most. After Mortal Kombat 1 dropped, I think people started to see that MK11 had way more stuff in it, you know. MK1 is very, very dry right now. They're just now starting to add like a lot of cool shit to it. And if we had a crypt the way that MK11 had, I'm gonna say it right now, MK1 might be perfect. It might be perfect. It's literally just missing the crypt. Just give it the crypt, give it an MK11 style crypt, and it might be crazy, I won't lie. There's only two things that I can't really get behind in this game, and it's the crushing blows. I felt like they were very like random and kind of annoying because they took so much health. It's one of those things where it just added an extra layer that I didn't like. And then I'd say another would be the defense meter. I feel like that should be taken away from just your meter, you know, just your regular meter, but they decided to do a defense meter, and I don't like it, and I don't think that should be a thing again. But yeah, those are the only two things that I kind of didn't like, and that's just nitpicking really. I do think this is the best Mortal Kombat game. It takes all the stuff from the other Mortal Kombats and it just makes it better, and I don't think we'll get another game like this or as good as this until they drop Injustice 3. I really don't. But yeah, these are my reasons for Mortal Kombat 11 being so underrated and overhated. This is the best game in the series and people are hating on it. I don't get it. But yeah, kind of a hot take, maybe, I don't know, but I'm gonna end it here, and yeah, see ya.